Welcome to Tech Brothers with Ahmed. Today we are going to learn a scenario-based demo in which we will learn different components of SSIS package. So scenario is how to run SQL statements which are saved in a SQL Server Table, and we want to run them in SSIS package. So those SQL statements can change. We can maybe there are 2 statements for today, but tomorrow we will have 10 of them. And there are scenarios where we have given that permission to our developers or maybe power users who can put those queries in this table, and we need to run them on nightly schedule. Now I said that they should be saved in SQL Server Table. Doesn't have to have saved in the SQL Server Table, but in this scenario I have only SQL Server, so that's why I wrote like that. So they can be saved in DB2, Oracle, maybe in any other database, or maybe in the file as well. So you can read those SQL statements. And when I said for the file, I have created another video how to read the SQL statements from Excel file. So you can take a look and learn that part as well. So once the statements are saved in some table, maybe we are using 2 SQL servers. On one we have those statements saved, and we want to run those statements on different SQL server. So there are all different possibilities, and this demo will show you those different possibilities, and I will explain where you can use these scenarios. Now here on the right side we are going to learn first of all we will be learning how to get all those queries from a SQL Server Table by using Execute SQL Task, and then save them into object type of variable. So object type variable is the ADO.NET type variable that can handle or save a result set in a memory, and then we can use that in the SSIS package. Second, how to loop through list of SQL queries by using a Foreach Loop Container. So once we have the queries saved in the object type variable, we are going to use them in a we will use that object type variable in the Foreach Loop Container, and we will get one record at a time and do operation on that value. Next we will be saving the value as I explained. We will save the value from the object type variable into another variable, maybe a string type, and we will use that variable, and that will have our query to run in Execute SQL Task. So instead of just reading the theory and what we will be doing, let's do the demo and you will see in action. Now here I have a table, so I have create table, DBO query table, and then a query and nvarchar max. So I define this data type, so I can use if there are some Unicodes or I have to put those values here, I can use different character sets here to save my queries. And also I use the max here because sometimes queries are big and you don't want to say okay nvarchar or varchar 100 or 200, so maybe their queries are 1000 characters. So that's why I said varchar and varchar max, so big queries can be saved. Let's run this query statement. Now here I'm inserting this value, so you see that this is the type of the value I am inserting here, but I have to put a single quote one more time as we are saving the string inside this value. Let me run this one. Now we insert this one, and here I'm gonna show you. Select star from. So that's how your query will be saved, and with the single quotes, as it is a string value we are putting in the DBO customer. So DBO customer is a table that has the ID and only customer, so it is integer, and the customer name is varchar. So that's why we have to use the single quotes for the value in the customer insert statement. Here let's insert another one. Now if I will take this and I want to insert this value, what happened? I can put the parentheses around, but now this is not really inserted or not actually parsing correctly. So you can see that I'm getting error. Here I have to put single quotes as I want to save the entire query. Also I have to put single quotes outside, but here as there are single quotes I want to put inside, I have to add one single quote on each side. And now I can insert this value. Next we are updating some records, and I am inserting that query in the table, and then I am putting a delete query in the table as well. So you can see that for Sukhjit, as it is a string value I need to put with single quotes, I have to add one more single quote here, and that's how we will be inserting these values for the query. Now we are all set. We can run our select statement, and we can see these 4 queries are saved. So if I run these queries, I have the queries here. So if I run select statement on customer table, it is not returning me anything. And next query is, if I run this one, let's say for NA, see I'm updating the created on here with the get date for this table. So right now it is null. And then I'm updating, I'm deleting anything from the Asia table customer underscore AS where name is equal to Sukhjit, the first name. So if I select this one, it will return me 2 records. So I need to delete that. Once we run these statements from this table, they will be executed. We should get a couple of records for this one. This null value should be updated, and then this select should not return us anything, as we will be using this delete statement to delete those records. Now let's go to the bids or SSDT SQL Server Data Tools and create a new package. Here right click and say new SSIS package. Now we will be reading the list of queries from table into the object type variable. So we'll use the Execute SQL Task. Double click here, and then I'm using OLEDB connection. If you are reading from some other source, you can select the connection type, whatever you like. You have ADO, ADO.NET and Excel and all that. Here I will be creating a new connection, and my query is coming from the test database. I have that table in the test database, so I can create a connection. I have to provide SQL Server instance name here, and then I have to provide the database name where I have saved my queries. Hit OK, and then here I will be using a select query to get those all queries. So I will be using query here from query table. It is returning correctly. Place the select statement here. Now this table, this select statement is going to return us more than one row. So we have to select the result set type here. Here we have none if it does not return us anything, but that's not true for our case. Single row, that's not true as well, because we are returning more than one row. So we have to select full result set. That means more than one rows, and it can have one column or it can have multiple columns, and we will select a full result set. When you select the full result set, you have to come to the result set and then add a result set. Here if you will leave this one as it is, it will throw error, so we have to place this one with the 0. I don't know why they say place with the 0, because they could have just default it if that's the case, and for especially object type variable. Now here we'll say query list, and I can call it obj, so we would know that this is object. And here we have to select the value type, so it is going to be object. Hit OK, and now with this query we got all those queries from dbo.query table and saved into the query list object variable in SSIS package. If you run this package now, it is going to be successful, but you would not see those queries because they are saved in the memory and we have to use them. Now we are going to bring the Foreach Loop Container here, and here if you want to rename this one, you can say SQL get all queries in object type variable. So it's a good idea to name your tasks or components or containers. It helps in the debugging, also it helps in the flow. You can take a look what exactly is happening. Now here for the for each loop we can say read one query at a time from object type variable. I'm giving more like a descriptive information for the users or people who are watching this video, like what exactly is happening. You could have say different things. You could provide the variable name and other variable name where you will save the value. So it will be depending on your knowledge and vision and standards of the company, how you will name these components. So let's go here. Now here in the collection we will be using different type of enumerator. We will be using a for each ADO enumerator, and we will be reading the data from object type variable, and then we will be saving that into the different variable. So here I'm going to save that value in the query. So I can call it var query. So variable query, it is going to be string. So it is going to, for each loop is going to loop through that object type variable and then save one value at a time for each of the row. So we have only one column, so that's why we have index 0. If we will have two values returned by our row, we will save into next variable, and then that's how we will read each of the row and save into the variables. Now hit OK. Inside the for each loop we will be using execute SQL task, and here we are going to use first define or select the connection type, and then you will make a connection to the database where you want to run those queries. And here source SQL source type, you will be selecting a variable, as we have saved our query in the variable. Now in the source variable we have to select the variable var query, and then we are all good. We are not returning anything, we are just running those queries. Those are update queries, insert queries, delete queries, so we are all good. And here you can name this one SQL run var query. Alright, next we can go back here, and as you guys know that, remember this should not return, this should return us two record. Right now there isn't any record, and there should be update happening to the null, and then this should be deleted. So there should not be anything after we run our SSIS package. So this two records should be deleted. Run the SSIS package. It failed. So what happened? It is saying delete from customer AS where first name failed with the error, incorrect syntax. So what happened? We can see that maybe the query was not inserted correctly. Let's take a look and see what exactly was in the query. Now we can see that, let me take a look again. So it failed on the delete, so you can see the error here. And let's take that query and run it by ourselves and see if that's a correct query here where name is equal to Sukhjit. So you see that there was extra parenthesis, we put it here. That should not be here, and that's why our query failed. So let me do one thing. I'm gonna delete this query, query table, where query is equal to, actually I like that part, because if you have these kind of scenarios, it give you opportunity to take a look like how we delete the records, how we will insert the records, how we'll find out the errors and all that. So if you see even the delete, as I was putting single quotes for the value, it didn't take it, so I have to provide two single quotes here. So that's how you will delete. Now we can go back and insert this record again. Where this time we don't want to mess up with this one. So what happened? Let's insert this value now. Take a look one more time if it is inserted correctly. Now it looks better. So that's how we will be inserting our value. Okay, now as we ran our package and it failed on the fourth line. So what do you think? What should be happening? These should be completed or not? So let's take a look and see what happened. So we can see that the first queries got completed. Once those queries ran on SQL Server, it's not rolling them back. So that's good. And then we have these null values are updated as well. And then the last one was Sukhjit, where we were deleting it and it could not delete because our query was wrong. So you have to understand that one. Here these scenarios will happen. Now what we have to do, if somebody has built this package, they will just go ahead and run the package again. Now that's going to create more problems. So the best solution here is maybe somebody go back and take the queries and verify them one after one and say, okay, this query was completed successfully, this was completed successfully, and this was completed successfully. Well, what do you think? Is that a good scenario as well? No, I don't think so. That's a good scenario, because then they have to test each and every query and then remove them from the table. So if I will be you, what I will do, I will say I will alter my table here. This video might get a little longer, but this is a good scenario. So let's do it, and we'll say alter table dbo query table and add a query ran status. And I can call it integer or tiny int. Just I'm saving one value, so I can have even bit. So whatever I like, I can put it. So here, what I did, I added a new. Let me give a select star. Now what happened? I added a new column, and I will select when the very first time we'll put these records here. What we will have, we'll put this value to the 0, and now we'll say update set query ran result status is equal to 0, and in our select query, what we have for our SSIS package here, we will select only where query ran status is equal to 0. Now by doing this, what happened? We will be selecting only the queries which has the status 0, they did not completed. And here what we will do, we will run this query, and next we will go ahead and update that value. So we can use different techniques to update those values. And let me think of real quick how we can do it. There are multiple scenarios we can do it. One thing this package is getting kind of long. One more thing I would like to add. So I'm going to add alter table dbo query table, and I want to make it some easy way. So add id integer identity and 1,1. Let's see if that will add. So that is added. Now this is easy way for us to do. So we have 1 2 3 4, and we will select that ID with it. Now what we are going to do here, you guys are not going to like me, but what else I can do? So this is converting in a very good situation. We are selecting a query, and then we are selecting ID here. So we have two columns coming here. They will be saved to the same result set, so we don't have to make change here. Next, here, as we were in the for each loop in the collection we have set okay, for each denominator, we are fine with this part. We have two column values coming for each row now. So here I have a query, here I have a ID now. So I have saved the ID as well. So I'm gonna say ID, and this is the integer. I can and you can put value 0 as of now because it give you error. You can have 16 as well, so integer 32 work fine for us. Now I have saved ID as well. So why I'm saving ID? Because I can go back here and then use another execute SQL task and update the query. If query fails, so it's not coming here because this is on success precedence. And if query passes this complete successfully, then what I'm going to do, I'm going to use that variable and update the table. So how I'm going to do it? I can say update. Let me write the query here. So we will be updating this table. So let's update the table, and here we will be updating the query ran status. Set query ran status is equal to 1 because query completed successfully, where ID is equal to question mark. So we will map this value with the variable value. So let's take this value, come back here. Now we place our update query. Let me put, okay, we have put that the question mark has to be mapped with the ID. So we go to parameters, here we add the parameter. Okay, so we have to provide the connection manager here. So we know that it is in the test, we are using OLEDB connection manager. So everything looks good. Go to parameters, here we are gonna use that variable. So we have ID here, input long will work because that's integer, and here we have to provide 0. Now we are good. And here I'm going to say update status query ran status. Now what is going to happen? Do one thing. Let's say we will create a situation again, and here what we need to do, we are going to truncate. I'm going to remove these queries from here and also this one, and I will truncate the table, Control R, and here we will have the same queries. Let's put one extra delete here somewhere, so or insert a value that will just fail on one of the query. Let's consider this one. We are after two inserts and updates, and here let's update back to the null. So we see that what happened. So this should be there is a value here. When this run, this should be back to the null, and then we should have two records here because first two queries should run, and then we are updating and we are putting a record. That's just we are trying to make it error out, you know, and see if that works. So we inserted an extra record here. So, and it is saying a column name must be specified because now we have more columns. So we will be saying here in the values before values, saying query, and then we say query ran status, and we have values, and then here I will be putting 0. Now let's try this out. So one row is inserted, but that's a bad row. We see that for the fifth one the query shouldn't work. I have a get date and I have put 86 and comma as well, so this should fail. But how these will work? So let's see how our SSIS package is going to work now. Let's run this one, and we see that the very first one failed. So okay, package failed, but what happened with the other queries? Now if we go back and take a look with the query table, so we see that these all queries got completed successfully, and next time if we will try to run this one, this query will not run, because we are selecting only the queries where status is equal to 0. So whichever are completed, we are not going to get them again, and one of the query failed. That's fine, but these queries completed. So let's run and see if they completed. Yes, they completed. This should be set to null. Okay, that didn't work. Let's see why. And then we have select for here, and it is deleted as well. So for this one, which did not work, let me see what exactly happened. And for one of them, we know that okay, this was actually never got updated, so that's why it is still we didn't update this record correctly. And we can go ahead and update this one if you want. Let's update this record and run it again. So we can say update the DBO query table, set the query is equal to, and we can say null where id is equal to 3. So now we run this one. Now we are good. And here I want to show you, here even we have updated this one, this value also has to be updated. We are going to say to run these two queries, we have to correct them, and then that's how we are gonna query ran status is equal to 0. So if you run now, what is happening? Our query is getting 2 records from the table where the values are 0. One we have fixed it, other one we did not fix it. So what will happen right now? It is returning us 2 because we are selecting only where query ran status is equal to 0. So if we run all of them, you will see more records, and this is ID, and here we can get the query ran status. Sorry, I know this video is going to be really long, but I want to show you each and everything, and how situations happen and then how you handle them. Okay, so this is we can see that here wherever those are 0, those are the 2 queries we are getting. Now error happened for this one, so we can go ahead and update this one, and that way this will work. But whatever the queries has run, we are not going to rerun them. So now I didn't fix the last one again, but we ran the package again. We said okay, we have fixed everything, but we didn't fix everything. Oh, it failed again for NA. And if we go back here and take a look on the table, on the that was this table for customer NA, that is updated to null. So that's how you will be taken care and correcting your queries. But whatever is done, it will not be redone, it will not rerun. So that's the good way, adding this query ran status and taking one record at a time, and at the end of the query go back and update that. That way you also would know that which query is running at the moment. So thanks very much for watching this video, and I will see you in next video.